yourself a merry little Christmas. Let your heart be light. From now on, our troubles will be out of sight. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Make the Yuletide gay. From now on, our troubles will be miles away. Here we are, as in olden days, happy golden days of yore. Faithful friends who are dear to us, gather near to us once more. Through the years, we all will be together, if the fates allow. Hang a shining star upon the highest bough, and have yourself a merry little Christmas now. Mr. John Rosen. Here we are, as in olden days, happy golden days of yore. Faithful friends who are dear to us, gather near to us once more. Through the years, we all will be together, if the fates allow. Hang a shining star upon the highest bough, and have yourself a merry little Christmas now. Oh, have yourself a merry little Christmas now. Good morning, everybody. Happy Sunday to you all. That's one of my favorite Christmas tunes. It's a classic, feels good every time you sing it. It's very nice. Let's get started. Standing outside the door of love and mercy, you wonder if there's a place there for you. You know there's peace inside, but still you're searching for someone who understands the pain you've been through. While the door's unlocked, the lights are on. What are you waiting for? Come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in. You'll find a place of rest in the arms of Spirit. God's waited so long for your homecoming day. God knows the peace you seek and the hurt you're feeling. Spirit wants to hold you and to wipe the tears away, while the Father waits with open arms. God is calling out your name. Come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in. Well, there's room enough in the house of love for someone just like you.
And good morning, everyone. Here we are, well into December. So many of you are wearing red and green. We're getting festive, right? Merry Christmas in advance, everybody. If you haven't met me yet, I'm Bev Spivey. It's my joy to be here with my husband, Reverend Lawrence Palmer, as we lead you this spiritual family. So welcome, everybody. And to the live streamers and Facebook livers who were tuned in to us, please feel part of this community. Go online and see everything we have to offer at unitypompanobeach.org. We very much want to include you in our fellowship. And those of you who are local, we do invite you to come on in here and enjoy the holiday tunes and lessons and candles together as we celebrate the joy and the coming of Christmas with our Advent season. So our music, once again, is delivered by the illustrious director, James McCoy.
Oh, my goodness. It's not hyperbole, after all. Thank you. Good morning. Won't you please welcome Mr. John Rose with us once again. Mr. Jeff Renza at the drum sets. Our featured soloists, of course, Samantha Natalie. Yeah. And for those of you who like Daniel Namad, we have a song of his this morning. And then we also have something from Cat Stevens. There you go.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. As we start into the day today, I want to give you an update on some of the announcements that we have going on. If you do not receive our e-newsletter by email, every Thursday evening at 6 o'clock is when it's published. It's called Happenings. And in that, Darby lists everything that we have going on with the links directly to go to register for things that require registration. So if you are not on the list to receive Happenings, there are contact forms. They may be in your chair backs. If not, there's some in the narthex or on the table there midway through the aisle. And get on our list, because that way you don't, every now and then somebody will come to me and say, well, I didn't know that was going on. Well, you know, we don't know who of you knows and who of you doesn't know. So make a point to look at our Happenings. So this week in Happenings, you probably saw that we're getting into the giving spirit. And we have an all congregation, including our onliners, to give to our beloved Fellowship Living facility, Fellowship Recovery Center. Our dear member and friends, Rick and Susan Riccardi, began this in a smaller scale many years ago now, I think maybe 15 or more, and they have grown, and they have housing for people in recovery. They have a center for those who relapse and have an immediate place to go. So we want to help them by furnishing bedding. The apartments for men and women are furnished with twin beds, and they are shared apartments in the facility here on Banks Road. They are 4 men to a unit, 2 twin bedrooms. So we invite you to participate by donating your gently used or new twin sheets, mattress pads, fleece blankets, comforters, anything to furnish a twin bedroom. But please respect our request for twin. I know many of us have other size bedding, and they cannot use that, and we don't want to have to sort through it. So the next 2 Sundays, and during those 2 weeks, the office is open Sundays through Thursdays during business hours, but bring it in on Sundays. For the next 2 weeks, we will end this drive on December 19th so that we can get everything to Fellowship Living. We invite you, if you want to put a bow on it and package it up a little bit and bring it up and put it under our Christmas tree. But we look forward to giving. It is the season of giving. I think there's about 100 beds to be supplied if we want to give everybody some new stuff for Christmas. In addition to that, I want to say towels as well. They can use towels, washcloths, hand towels, even a few kitchen towels. Okay, prayer circle, we started this week. That will continue every Wednesday at 2 o'clock, led by either Lawrence and I or a prayer chaplain or all of the above. But we meet in the first room, our prayer chapel, in the breezeway there of Fellowship Hall, and 2 o'clock on Wednesdays. In person with a mask, please, but everybody is welcome. And Women of Unity is going to meet in Fellowship Hall for the first time now in 2 seasons. So that's at 10 o'clock on Saturday morning, the 11th. And we're going to have a wonderful fellowship time of women. Again, any woman is invited to come. Please wear a mask. All women are invited. If you're new, don't feel weird about coming. We want to gather. We haven't been gathering in person now for almost 2 years. And it's time, and we're going to be back doing that. It's going to be an interesting program. Our own Reverend Darby Line, who's our Director of Operations, is going to be talking about healing oils and also telling us about healing oils from the scriptures and what she knows about gold, frankincense, and myrrh. So it'll be an interesting holiday feature as well. And then the next Tuesday on the 14th, this is something for everybody online. It's going to be through Zoom. I'm doing a class on the myth and meaning and metaphysics of Christmas. Some of you who are newer haven't been exposed to this yet, perhaps. It's biblical scholarship. Some of you who have been here a while have had this information through the years, but we forget it year to year. And I've never done it online. So based on Bible scholarship and the facts that we've gathered through these 2 millennia of living with the ancient scriptures, I will be covering all of that. You may wonder, what does Unity feel about the 2 discrepancies? There's 2 different Christmas stories written in the scriptures, in case you hadn't noticed. So that requires registration. Please look for the information and register for that.
Bev has been giving this talk for many years, and it's quite the erudite presentation. So it's actually a lot of fun to actually really know where all these traditions come from. So
thank you. Yeah, it is. I enjoy it so much. So our theme this entire year is how to stay centered no matter what, and we're doing pretty well with that. And the theme for then our month of December is on life, the power of life itself. Our affirmation is life is the infinite endowment of God, and eternal life is happening now. Life is the infinite endowment of God, and eternal life is happening now. Let's prepare for our Advent lighting and our meditation times with one of our Christmas favorites.
Stars go by, yet in thy dark street shineth the everlasting light. The hopes and fears of all the years are met in thee tonight, for Christ is born. Sleep, the angels keep their watch of wandering love. All morning stars together proclaim thy holy birth, and praises sing to God the King, and peace to men on earth.
Good morning. My name is Shirley Scott, a licensed Unity teacher here at Unity. Today, our daily word is peace, December 5th. I choose peace as I continue on the Advent journey. My thoughts turn to peace. I remember what gives me peace, the beauty of a sunset, a comforting hug, a heartfelt prayer. In those moments, peace encompasses all of my thoughts and feelings, transforming any worries or troubles. I wish to carry that feeling with me always. I realize I do not have to wait for specific experiences to feel peaceful. I have the power to claim peace at all times and in all situations. I affirm that divine peace is greater than any worldly condition. I remain centered and calm and don't let minor irritations knock me off center or linger in my awareness. God's peace is my peace forever. Philippians 4, verse 7 tells us, "And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your mind in Christ Jesus." I now light the candles for hope and faith of last week and for today, peace.
Right now, we'd like to begin a time of prayer and meditation by singing this Christmas song called Christmas Wish.
For Christmas this year, I know exactly what you'd like, and I know you know I want the same thing too. And I wish that I could give to you all your heart desires, and to see your face on Christmas Day when all your dreams come true. But a worldwide understanding and peaceful people everywhere is something that right now is beyond my reach. But we can try and do it simply. We can do it from the heart. Give presents that we know will never fade. And with all the ones we love and everyone we know, step by simple step, I know that we'll achieve. In our homes at least, a world that's filled with peace, a world that's filled watch the news, it makes me cry for all of the anger I see. So many souls believing the lie that hatred is all they can be. So I take a chance and offer my prayer to whisper the truth. And I believe today is the day when my message gets through, that we are all children of the God above. We are all meant to be instruments of peace. There's no us or them, foe or friend. There's all the same. There is only one, 'cause everyone is born with God's name. So the question becomes, where do we start? How do we heal so much pain? The answer is clear. We open our hearts and let love wash all the pain away. 'Cause peace in our time begins with a smile, with one open hand. And when we teach by example, the world is sure to understand that we are all children of the God above. Yes, we are all meant to be instruments of peace. There's no us or them, foe or friend. We are all the same. There is only one, 'cause everyone is born with God's name. Sometimes it seems so useless to try, so futile to dream. But remember, the power of creation lies in what we believe. 'Cause we are all children of the God above. Yes, we are all meant to be instruments of peace. There's no us or them, foe or friend. There's all the same. There is only one, 'cause everyone is born with God's name. Born with God's name. Born with God's name. With God's name.
Your mic's. It's not on. It's unmuted here. Is it green? It's green.
Anybody want to hum? Just for the record, I don't like using handhelds because I need both hands to do this. Anyway, you know how most of the time I give you a lead in and then give you a story? Well, this morning I'm going to give you a story and then give you the lead in. The story is there were three mothers together having lunch, Catholic mothers. The first mother said, well, my son is a priest, and when he walks in, people say, oh, Father. And the next lady said, oh, well, my son is a bishop, and when he walks in, people say, Your Eminence, Your Excellency. That was it, wasn't it? Your Excellency. The third lady sitting there kind of grinning, and they turned to her, and she said, well, my son is 6 feet tall, 185 pounds, blonde hair, blue eyes. He's an international model. And when he walks in, everybody says, oh, my God. Well, I'm going to be speaking to you during Advent this year about oh, my God. I know that's not quite usual. Very often we have sermons on all the elements of the Christmas story, and that gets kind of interesting sometimes because, are you going to fix me?
I can't tell you what I just said. It's too inside baseball, you know what I mean? And it's
Oh, that sounds hopeful. There you go. Thank you, James. Always a slave to technology. It's good when it works, though, I tell you. All right, where was I? Very often during Christmas you hear sermons about the elements of Christmas. I heard one time of a minister who preached on the symbolism of all the Christmas elements. He preached about the symbolism of the manger and the straw and the symbolism of each individual animal. Well, the interesting thing about that is the Bible doesn't mention straw at all. It doesn't mention animals, actually. Then I want to put a plug in for Bev's class. I'm not going to cover all this stuff today, but Bev is, about all the elements of Christmas and how they came to be and some of the weird sources of some of that, the things that we include in the Christmas story. You realize that the wise men and the shepherd weren't there at the same time, and there wasn't a donkey there, all of that. So we're not going to worry about that right now. I got something else to do here. During Advent, I want to share with you a series of sermons about OMG, a journey of awe. Now, my intention in doing this is to offer you the opportunity to look very closely and very deeply at your perception of God. Because God initiated this whole thing that ended up in what we know as Christmas. The scripture says God sent God's Son. Jesus was incarnated. And that Christmas is about that. So I want to give you the opportunity to really, really look at your belief about God, your perception of God. Now, I cast this in the context of awe after I found an article that said in 2015 at the University of California in Berkeley, there was a scientific study done about awe. Now, awe is defined as a feeling of reverential respect mixed with fear or wonder. And these scientists that studied awe on a very legitimate level said that they had proven that regular exposure or experience of awe was highly conducive to positive physical health, positive emotional health, and I would add positive spiritual health. So awe is important for us. So we're going to see how awe works in with this movement of OMG. Now let's look at OMG. Now that reminds me of a story. No, this is a good one. A grandmother had been given as a gift of a smartphone by her granddaughter, who was 10 years old. And the grandmother was learning to operate it, and the granddaughter was trying to teach her how to do it. So she was over one day and checking on her grandmother's texting to see how she was doing. And she was reading one of the texts, and her grandmother wrote a text to her best friend and said, "Oh, dear Helen, I am so sorry to hear about the passing of your beloved husband, LOL." Think about it. Here it comes. And the granddaughter was just horrified. She said, "Grandma," she said, "do you know what LOL means?" And she said, "It's lots of love." So another one of those abbreviations that we've become accustomed to using is OMG, which of course stands for Oh My God. Let's take a look at that. Let's look at the O. We use the O a lot. It's to focus attention. Oh, and it can be an expression of surprise. Very often when people say, oh, their eyebrows go up. And I love it in The Far Side when he has animals making the O sound with their lips around like this. That's a hilarious picture to see the dog with the O there, you know. But we use O as an exclamation, or O as a way to focus our attention. Think about the Christmas carols. O little town of Bethlehem. O come all ye faithful. O holy night. O Tannenbaum. So we use this O a whole lot, and we use it also with Oh My God. Now, it's interesting that you've never seen OYG, Oh your God. You've never seen OOG, Oh our God. You've never seen OTG, Oh that God. Or OAG, Oh a God. I could go on and on. What we do is Oh my God. Oh my God. It's your God that we're talking about and your perception of that God. Now, when we think about the word God and what that means, there's just one meaning to that, right? Not quite. You were supposed to say no. Okay. There are a lot of meanings for that. If you'd like to experience that, go and Google, talk to my good best friend. Go to Google and ask for Jewish names for God or Hebrew names for God and see what happens. There's a long list of them. And do one about God's name in the Bible, and that'll show you some that you probably have never even heard of before. Bev's going to talk about some of that in her class. But there are so many different perceptions of God. Google Buddhist God, Hindu God, Muslim God, and you're going to find a lot of information there. So who's right? Which perspective is true? Yes, it is. All of them, one way or the other. But it's important what your perception of God is. It doesn't matter what a dictionary says. It doesn't matter what some theologian says. It's a matter of what your perception is of God, because when you really think about it, as you're going to do in this month, aren't you? Say yes. Okay. You come to realize that your perception of God shapes so much of all the rest of your life. Your perception of God, whether you're really aware of it or not, or whether you can really describe it, it shapes how you perceive the world and how you perceive other people and how you perceive yourself. Your perception of God determines how you perceive Christmas and what this is all about. Is it just a holiday that we get through, or does it have some kind of special meaning? Your perception of God will determine how you look at that. So this is important. Your image, your belief, your perception of God is so very important, and it's too important to leave it just floating around in your mind somewhere. Oh, it's something. But it's important that you know what that something is. It's important that you can say, even, at least to yourself, if not to someone else, what is your belief about God? What is your perception of God? Because it's very important in so many areas of our life. Now, one of the questions that comes up is, how did you get your perception of God? How do you arrive at believing what you believe right now about God? It didn't just happen all of a sudden. You didn't find it in a fortune cookie. You didn't wake up one morning and suddenly have it. It's a process. It begins with teaching. Your family may or may not directly teach you about what God is. You may see it out in the world some way if you don't get it at home. You may have had someone to model for you, either good or bad, perception of God. That enters into how you come to be where you are in your understanding of God. Another thing that happens along the way is we study on our own. We decide, I'm going to find out for myself here. When Charles Fillmore was studying meditation and metaphysics, he said, I'm hearing so much crazy stuff out there in the world, and there's so much of it going on. He called it babble. Yeah. He said, there's so much of that going on, I'm going to headquarters. So he went inside himself and looked for the answers to the questions. And that happens for us too, along the way. When we want to know more about God, we go to a class. We read a book. We spend time thinking about it and processing. And that adds to our understanding, our perception of who and what God is. Another part of that is experience. What if you're praying one night, very seriously, very fervently, as the Bible says, and you feel yourself levitating off the floor? That has something to do with your perception of God. What happens if you pray about a particular situation and the next day, boom, the situation's resolved? That shapes your perception of God. What if you've been praying about something for months and nothing has happened? That shapes your perception of God. So your own experience makes a difference too. And then there's a matter of just choosing. Using what you've experienced, using what you've studied, using what you've learned from others and what you've seen out in the world to say, given all of that information, this is what makes more sense to me. That's how I arrive at what I believe about God, what my perception of God is. I take all that stuff that's come to me and I say, given that, thinking about it, this makes more sense than anything else. And I stand with Charles Fillmore, who famously said, or infamously maybe, I reserve the right to change my mind, because he believed in progressive revelation. This time next year, my perception of God may be subtly or significantly different than it is in this moment, because I'm continuing to have experiences of my own. I'm continuing to study. I'm continuing to listen to other people and see what they believe and what works for somebody else. All of that comes together where I can say, given all of that, this makes sense. This makes most sense to me. And you may use that in coming to your perception of who you see God to be and who you experience God to be. So I challenge you during this month to give some thought to what is your perception of God. You have one. Some people may say, well, I don't know. Yes, you do. It's there if you just look for it and be willing to let it rise up within you and inform you about what's going on. One good way to think about that is think about a time when you were really, really, really having a hard time. What did you think about God then? What was your perception of God then? Think about your best day ever. What was your perception of God on that day? What if you're having this wonderful, stimulating conversation with a friend of yours about many, many, many things? How are you feeling then? That reflects your perception of God. So it's there. And it's important for you to have that accessible to you so that you know. Now, one other thing I would encourage you to do in this process of looking deeply at your perception of God, look in the mirror and say, oh my God. And smile when you do that. Oh my God, and look in the mirror. And then I want you to ask this question. Does my perception of God that I've come to understand and see support my highest good? Does my perception of God support my goals in life, my mission in life, my purpose in life? That's fairly simple, because here's your mission, here's your goal, here are your desires, and here's your belief and your perception. Do they match? Does your perception of God, as it should, support all the good in your life? Another question you can ask along that same vein, does my perception of God, as I've come to understand it, hinder my spiritual growth? Does it get in the way? Does it keep me from going forward? Does it keep me from embracing the things that would serve my highest good? Does it keep me understanding things that are going on? Or does it hinder my process there? Again, take what you're experiencing in the world, what your perception is, and see if this is getting in the way. And the third question is, do I need to alter, modify, change my perception of God? Now, some of you may have the same perception of God that you had when you were 6. And I'm not saying that's bad. It's just you need to know that if that's the case. Some of you have a perception of God that came out of a huge challenge for you. Some of you have a perception that came out of great joy. Some of you have a perception that came out of an incredible, numinous, transpersonal experience with God. But it's important that you know that you take a look at that, because that determines how you live and interact in the world. And changing that perspective can be kind of frightening sometimes. If you have just now realized what your perception really is, you may not know what to do with that. You may not know how that feels. It's something new. And changing that may be challenging, but it's important if you feel it is necessary at the time. If your perception is not serving your highest good, if your perception is hindering your spiritual growth, if it's getting in the way, it's time to change something. Scriptures tell us that we will be transformed by the renewing of our minds. We will be transformed by the changing of our perception of God. We will come to know things that we didn't know before by expanding our understanding of God, our belief in God, our feeling in God. And one of two things may happen out of many things. One is that you find your perception and your thoughts, your beliefs about God expanding and getting bigger and bigger and bigger. There's more and more and more. Or you may find it going in the other direction, becoming more and more simplified. I took a brief course in Tai Chi one time. I still want to do that sometime, full, and really get into it. But this teacher told us that his teacher was a great master, well known in the Tai Chi circles. And he said he had practiced for so long and mastered all the movements in Tai Chi. The only movement he ever did was the first basic one, which is like this. Even though he knew all the other movements and practiced all of them, that's the only one he used, because everything had collapsed down into that one movement. And he found completeness in that one thing. That may happen with your perception, your belief about God. It may become so simple. It may be as though you can say, I am, and that's it. That's it. You can read a book this thick about it and then say, I am. And that takes care of it. So either way, your perception may grow or it may shrink. It may become broader and it may become deeper. But it won't happen if you don't look at it. And if you're not willing to take that step of changing your perception of who and what God may be. That's no small challenge, and I'm aware of that. So my intention is to provide for you the opportunity to do that and enhance that opportunity with encouragement and with guidance about how to do that. During this month of Oh My God, I'll share with you next week, my God, the awe that separates. Next week will be my God, my friend, the awe that invites. The third week is my God, myself, the awe that unifies. And we'll see how your perception of God fares as we go through that. So I encourage you to give yourself to this experience of expanding, of looking at, of changing if it's necessary, your perception of God, your belief about God. And I see that going very well for you. And it is such an awe-inspiring experience to look at you and know what's going to be going on for you during this coming week. So in knowing that, I say to you, oh my God. Bless you, my friends.
You know, we've been so wonderfully blessed by so many of you finding us during these 2 years of us not having regular programs here. But we're back now, by the way. We're back. And we're soon to open Fellowship Hall for our wonderful gathering time after the services. But we're back for classes, for prayer circle, for a number of things. But if you've just found us here and are not real familiar with Unity, I want to say that we are a worldwide movement, and there's information about what we look to do in the world, what our mission and vision are, some of the principles that we go by, and that's all on our website under About Us, unitypompanobeach.org. Or you can look at the worldwide unity, unity.org. So be informed about Unity, and welcome to those of you who are finding us anew. We go by free will giving, only receive funds from members, friends, those of you online, we appreciate your donations as well. You can always use the donate button on our website, or we're happy to take your gifts here. We pass the offering plate now. There's also an offering plate on the corner table there in the aisleway for you to stand up and put your gift in if you'd like to do that. So we thank you for your giving that sustains us, sustains this property. And we're happy to tell you that so far, so good. So thank you for everything you've been doing. Let's bless our offering together with an old unity standard, divine love. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. Amen.
Here's a little song we got from Cat Stevens. Since it's Peace Week of Advent, it's called Peace Train. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Now I've been happy lately, thinking about the good things to come. And I believe it could be something good has begun. Oh, I've been smiling lately, dreaming about the world as one. And I believe it could be someday it's going to come. 'Cause I'm on the edge of darkness, there rides the peace train. Oh, peace train, take this country, come take me home again. Now I've been smiling lately, thinking about all the good things to come. And I believe it could be something good has begun. Oh, peace train sounding louder, light on the peace train. Ooh, come on now, peace train. Yes, peace train, holy roller, everyone jump on the peace train. Ooh, come on now, peace train. Get your bags together, go and bring your friends too. 'Cause it's getting nearer, it soon will be with you. Now come and join the living, it's not so far from you. It's getting nearer, so soon it will all be true. Oh, peace train sounding louder, light on the peace train. Ooh, come on now, peace train, peace train. Well, I've been crying lately, thinking about the world as it is. Why must we go on hating? Why can't we live in bliss? 'Cause out on the edge of darkness, there rides a peace train. Oh, peace train, take this country, come take me home again. Oh, peace train sounding louder, light on the peace train. Ooh, come on now, the peace train. Yes, peace train, holy roller, everyone jump on the peace train. Ooh, come on, come on, come on, come on. Yes, come on the peace train. Yes, it's the peace train.
All right, are we all going to get on the peace train this week? Yeah, let's move that peace train. As we leave today, we once again want to thank everybody for attending here. It's so great to see faces again, and so many of you that we're waiting for you to get here. You know, there's something about spiritual community. Come on out. I don't know if any of you have ever gone to a family reunion or a friend gathering or a high school reunion, and you know, some of your best buds aren't there. And it's like, oh, my favorite aunt didn't come. Why not? So we respect that each of you has your own Sunday mornings, however they are. But get on that peace train and come on in for services. So let's stand and bless each other here, worldwide, on our live stream. We bless each and every one of you joining us online. Together we use the old unity standard blessing. The light of God surrounds us. We are the love of God. The love of God enfolds us. We are the love of God. The power of God protects us. We are the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. We are the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Happy Sunday, everybody. Blessings are falling, are falling, are falling. Blessings are falling like a sweet, sweet rain. Blessings are falling, are falling, are falling on me. Beauty is falling, is falling, is falling. Beauty is falling like a sweet, sweet rain. Beauty is falling, is falling, is falling on me. Oh Lord, I receive your blessing. Oh Lord, I receive your grace. Oh Lord, I will dance forevermore. Oh Lord, I receive your blessing. Oh Lord, I receive your